Hi, welcome back to Handy as Hell. New project. We are in what can be described as a sunroom. Essentially, it's an annex just off of a bedroom. And as you can see, it's just all screened in. I guess probably used to be an outdoor porch. So the client would like to spruce it up. Spruce it up means new door. So we're probably going to replace this door. It's all busted up, but we're probably going to replace it with a glass panel on the top here, enclosed at the bottom, so it lets a bit of light in, but it's more of a solid door. And on all of these openings, these screens that you can see, they are going to go on the outside, and we are going to put some interior shutters in here, just so that it feels a bit more enclosed when it's closed up, a bit more of a living space. The dust doesn't get all blown in, but you can still open it all up and make it feel nice and outdoorsy. Okay, now, the challenge with this project is this is on a bit of a slope. So you can imagine this window is slightly larger than this window. None of them are exactly the same size, and more importantly, none of them are plumb. None of them are square. You can probably see this, I don't know if you can see on camera, but this upright here is out of square. Anyway, so step number one, because we're going to order some custom-made shutters, and you need square dimensions, is job number one is framing these out. So we're going to frame these out with some 1x4 just inside the existing dimensions, but a square frame. So if you're going to do the same thing, you obviously need to calculate what your square frame dimensions are going to be. So you're going to measure top and bottom, left and right. You're going to take the smallest of those dimensions, and that's going to be the beginning opening you're working with. And then the frame you're going to build to fit inside that should be 1/4 of an inch smaller in height and in width, allowing you 1/8 of an inch of wiggle room on each side. So I've already done all that. I've already calculated it. I've been in the shop at home and I've cut the pieces to size. How you decide to join these is up to you. I've just gone with butt joints. So just remember, if you go with butt joints on one of the sides, you're going to have to remove 2 thicknesses of the material you're using. I'm using 3/4 inch thick material, so 1.5 inches off one of the dimensions. But basically, we're going to build those. We're going to glue them, quickly pin them with a nail gun, then we'll screw them, and then we will slip them into place, shim them, tack them in with the nail gun temporarily till we're perfectly happy, and then we'll put some final fixings in there, final screws. So that is the master plan. So I'm going to get started with building number one and test fitting that, making sure that all works, just in case I made a little mistake with my dimensions. And if that all goes well, then I can assume everything else is bang on, and we'll move on. Now, as you can see here, these are 2x4s here that this is built with. Once we have that new frame in, we're obviously going to have a gap around here. So we will trim all of this out, a bit like a window frame or a door frame, something like that. We'll trim it all out at the end so it ties it all in, and it'll probably all be painted the same color as this. And I think the shutters are going to be white or an off-white, something like that. Right, let's get cracking. Right, there it is. There's the frame glued and nailed up. We'll throw some screws in that, and then we'll throw it in the opening. Just a little top tip, you know, when you cut all these, you can see I numbered them all, just saves on the confusion. Right, let's get screwing. Right, got my little countersink bit here. and we're going to speed it up. A couple of screws on each side. We'll stick 1 5/8 inch screws in there. I suppose you could just glue and nail this, let it set, but I want to put them together and put them in the same afternoon. So I'm putting the screws. Right. Very important now when we put this in. Obviously we're going to use shims, but we want it to be roughly square. So, you know, just because you cut the wood straight doesn't mean it's going to be straight. So when we put it in, we're going to make sure it's square. I know the light is pretty bad in here. I do apologize. Try and lighten it up a bit in production. Okay, so we have our frame. Now we're going to see if we calculate it correctly. Okay, so as you can see, this is a perfect example. Hopefully it's not going to go anywhere. I will show you what I'm talking about. When I said you want to measure the smallest dimensions, can you see how this is bigger on the left-hand side than it is on the right-hand side? So you got to take the smallest of the dimensions to build something square. And then once that is in place, like I said, we're going to trim out the top. We'll do some custom trim. I'll use my Festool track saw, some trim on a slant that will tie all of this in, and it will look great. Okay, back to shimming. So we bought 3 million shims, and we are going to shim this out. Might not even have bought enough shims thinking about it, but I know I have some in the truck. So, step ladder required. And of course, your levels. Once you get it plumb, just make sure it is square. Every time I make a video, there's somebody making a massive amount of noise next to me. I think it's fate. Okay, so now we're just gonna trim off the excess of the shims. I love the multi-tool for this. You could just use a blade, score it and snap it. Easy, tiger. Okay, that's pretty much it. So trimmed out, nice and square, plumb, all of that. Repeat that another 6 times. We'll be done. You don't want to watch me repeat this over, so I'll see you at the next stage. All right, so casing's all in. Screens are temporarily back up. Stop the leaves and stuff getting in. Last thing to do before I leave this evening, take down this guy. What is that, from World War II? I think that's seen better days. That's coming down. Right, well, it was never going to be straightforward, was it? Those screws rusted to hell. So I think we're going to take the brute force way, try and snap those off and just cut the wires. Holy come on! You can do it! This is gonna slam in my face. I just noticed it's gonna slam in my face. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Who needs safety glasses and a hard hat? That is just the wince. Oh, that thing is old.